All right, I gotta admit something. I'm a tripod guy. I've shot on tripods forever. They're nice and stable and practically hands-free. But the downside is, tripods are annoying. They're bulky, slow to adjust and set up, and honestly, half the time, I don't even bring one because they're just such an inconvenience. So when I received this, I honestly wasn't expecting that much of a difference. This is the COMAN M1 Pro V5 carbon fiber monopod. In theory, tripods are the perfect tool. But in reality, they kind of tend to slow me down. If I'm outside moving locations, constantly having to adjust the height and settings on the tripod, it really does become an inconvenience. And when something becomes an inconvenience, you really start hating to use it. So my goal with this monopod wasn't to replace my tripods, it's to see if it could live in that nice middle ground, where it's more stable than handheld and way less annoying than a tripod. The first thing I noticed when I picked this up is just how good it feels in the hand. Everything is nice and sturdy, nothing too complicated. I like simple. I don't want to be reading a manual on how to use a monopod. Like this lever right here is something I wish tripods did better. This is the height adjustment lever. You're not going to be fumbling around with multiple latches on this thing. You just open it up, adjust, that's it. Things like this is something that actually makes you want to use it. Now the main feature I absolutely love about this is that you can detach the fluid head and attach it directly to the metal legs. And this is great for low shots, ground level movement, or just those awesome creative angles. And when you mount it directly to the metal legs, you essentially eliminate any kind of wobble you'd get on the big rod. And this is just so much faster to get low to the ground without trying to adjust a tripod to get really low or having to disassemble it to put it in upside down. With this, it's literally the press of 2 buttons and you're there. Now, one thing I want to talk about is this quick release plate. Take off the plate, it's this lever right here, pops off. Want to put it back in, latches into place. 1 click, 1 lever, you're good to go. Now this isn't your standard Arca Swiss plate. It's actually a larger style plate that's compatible with most gimbals. Now that's actually really nice because you can take your gimbal, take the plate from your monopod and attach it right onto the gimbal. And even the plate from the gimbal here pops right in and locks perfectly. But it's a little annoying because like I said, it's not an Arca Swiss plate. And gimbal plates are larger than Arca Swiss, so you can't attach it to any of your other tripods. But you can take something like this, a clamp and an Arca Swiss plate, and mount it on top of this monopod plate. So then you can do both gimbals and tripods. So it's not a deal breaker, but something to keep in mind. Now this fluid head is super smooth. The handle on here extends so you can get a little bit more precise movements, so you can get those perfect smooth panning shots. Now this isn't the kind of thing that shows up on the spec sheet. You just feel it when you're shooting. Speaking of which, this is how tall it gets. I'm 6'2", and it's practically at my eye level. Now, one final feature on the monopod is gonna be down low, and it's this little pedal right here. When this thing's on the ground, you can use your foot to unlock the pedal, and it unlocks the joint at the bottom, and it gives you so much extra freedom of movement. And then you press it again, bring the rod to the center, and it locks back in place. Now, a big benefit of a tripod is that it's really good on uneven terrain. So if you have a slight slope or a bunch of rocks everywhere, you can adjust the tripod legs and it will always be straight up stable. Now with a typical monopod, if you have a rock that's underneath one of the legs, it's gonna be tilted. But you unlock the joint at the bottom and you can readjust it to be perfectly straight as well. So this is more than just for creative movements. It gives you another level of stability. And the neat thing is there is a little adjustment at the bottom here. So if you tighten it, it actually makes this a lot more firmer to move around so you don't accidentally wobble it out of place. And when you bring it down low, you can still use this lever to give you some extra movement when you're low to the ground. Now, who is this actually for? I think this is great for the people that move from spot to spot all the time, documentary shooters, travel creators, where you just don't have the luxury of time to be able to fully set up every single time you go somewhere. Now, for me personally, I like using this indoors, in my office, and around the house. Something like this is perfect to put on my desk and record talking head videos. And then when I want to get those creative angles and shots, I can transition to the full monopod setup. And it's just so much easier to quickly adjust, put the camera on top, get those awesome angles compared to using a tripod and having to adjust it and move it around constantly. Because I'm indoors, I don't really have to worry about wind or too much vibrations. Obviously, you're walking around, stomping on the ground, you might get those micro jitters in there, but if you're careful, it's not really that much of a problem. And like I said, when I do go outdoors, I still tend to reach for this over a tripod just because it's so much more convenient. And that by itself pretty much puts it ahead over any other tripod I own. Now, is this completely replacing my tripods? No, because there's just too many situations where you really do need a tripod and the stability of. monopods. But this has definitely earned its place next to them. And for someone that's never really used monopods before, kind of surprised me. Now, are you a tripod person, a monopod, or just full sending it with handheld? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys prefer. But at the end of the day, the best gear is the stuff you actually use.